members to talk to you and listen to you. It's good to see so many people showing interest. Up until now, a lot of people are asking what's happening with the forum. You know, it was a big announcement at the very beginning. It doesn't seem like there's a lot happened since. But I'm sure there's a lot of stuff like this that's been taking place all over various parts of the country. People are really interested. There might be enough happening at Stormont when we get together. You know, and I would agree with that. I would share that view. But there are things happening, and there will be a lot more things happening. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening, and don't be afraid to say how you really feel. Please give the greatest respect. And I'll hand over now to our chairman of the evening, Peter Sherman.
Thank you, Chair. Well, thank you very much for all coming out tonight. In the dark nights that we still have, and hopefully we'll have a very positive night and some good, healthy engagement. I have to read out the housekeeping announcements, which are as follows. In the event of an emergency evacuation, you will hear the two-stage pre-recorded announcement system that will announce the following. We are investigating an alarm condition. It may be necessary to evacuate the building. Please remain in your area and listen for further announcements. If it's found to be a fire, you will hear, this is an emergency. Please leave the building by the nearest available exit. Do not use the lifts. The evacuation is based upon, you'll see at the back with also the green signs, there's a door here, there's a fire door here, and there's two at the back. When you go out to the assembly point, you go to the car parks 2 and 3. Okay? Now, you might need fire exit if you say something wrong as well, so just keep that in mind. Now, what we have tonight is a very esteemed panel with a very broad spectrum of people from within unionism. Jeffrey Donaldson will be joining us soon, but we're going to start anyway to move the night on. We have Mike Nesbitt from the Ulster Unionist Party, Jim Allister from the Traditional Unionist Voice, Billy Hutchison from the Progressive Unionist Party, Henry Riley from UKIP, and Philip Dean, who's the chair of Resurgam Community Development Trust. So it's great to see this year. I grew up in Lisburn myself, grew up in Lambay. In about 1984, it was a very hot sunny day, and my mother came in about 5 o'clock and she said, have you got a white shirt and a black tie? And I said, why, we're going to a funeral? She says, no, you're starting work in the Sportsman's Inn in half an hour. So I went down to the Sportsman's Inn, and the first 4 customers who came in were 3 men, and they were all brothers, 4 brothers. 3 of them were in their 80s, and one of them was about 67. And me and the 67-year-old were having a nice conversation about politics, and his 3 older brothers kept saying, don't listen to him, what would he know, sure he's only a young fella. So I'm well aware of Lisburn and the people within Lisburn and how they feel about issues. So what we're going to do is we have 3 questions. We'll ask each panelist, we'll probably go through the first 3 panelists, ask them to react to the question. Then we'll come out to the floor, very good question time on television, we'll go back out to the floor, allow people to ask some questions, and then we'll go back. So every panel member will answer the same questions, but we'll also like you, as we do that, if you understand the programme, question time, we'll run it in that type of format. Okay? So thank you very much, and we aim to finish about 9:30. Okay? Now, the first question regards the whole issue of politicisation and about the need for politicisation within the unionist community. And the theme of the question is, why have sections of the unionist population turned away from voting? And of course, how do you reverse that trend? I think that's a very appropriate question, because it seems to be that within unionism, the people who've turned away from from voting and from electoral democracy have come from both the middle classes and the working classes. And I think there's different reasons why they've turned away in the last few years. So Mike, I wonder, could you give us some thoughts on why you think people have turned away and how you think that could be reversed?
Okay. Thank you, Pete, and good evening, everybody. Nice to see such a big crowd out this evening. I think the answer is complex, and I would like to focus on just 2 of the main reasons that I think are worth focusing on. One relatively benign, and that is, I think a lot of people have felt for a number of years now that the union is safe, and therefore there was no point and no need or necessity to vote anymore. And I'll come back to the safety of the union in a second, if I may. The less benign explanation explanation is I think a lot of people look at what's happening at Stormont and think useless. I think a lot of people look at local politics collectively and think useless. And I think a lot of people look at politicians like me and 107 others, give or take, and think useless. So there is an obligation on the politicians like myself to make ourselves more relevant. And I think part of the opportunity comes in the first part of my answer, which was the fact that the Union is safe. Now, all the evidence says that the Union is safe. You know, the Ipsos Mori poll on Spotlight, the BBC Northern Ireland Commission. More importantly, I believe the 2011 census, where only 1 in 4, only 25% of people chose to describe themselves as Irish. What an indictment of the entire Republican project, and that was not me, Jerry Evans, just wanted to contest what I'm saying there. But what we've discovered since, and it's been highlighted on the 3rd of December with the vote at Belfast City Hall, is that the Union can be safe, but that doesn't correlate to expressions of Britishness. In other words, what is the point of the Union being safe if we can't demonstrate, mark and celebrate our Britishness? Because people want to name play parks after IRA terrorists, they want to take the flag down, they want to stop people parading. And it goes back, I think, to the old phrase of Maggie Thatcher's that we are as British as Finchley. Well, I don't think we ever were. We're certainly not today, but neither is Birmingham, neither is Glasgow, neither is Cardiff. And the political deal that I want to carve out is one that says we redefine the extent to which our Britishness is expressed within the Union being safe in Northern Ireland in a way that is utterly fair. And what is wrong at the moment is that it is not fair. And the battle today that we were promised up at Stormont between unionism and republicanism has been replaced in your perception, and to some extent, truthfully, with a concession today. So the opportunity coming out of the 3rd of December is that a lot of people are now realising that there is a value in politics, that there is a danger in not being politicised and in voting. And the opportunity for people like myself is to re-engage and to fight for a fairer, better way forward for unionists.
Jim, elected turned away because they think unionist politicians are useless?
Maybe they're right. First of all, thank you for the opportunity of being here. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. I don't think there's a single reason why people are less enthusiastic about voting. There probably are a combination of reasons. I would pick up 2 reasons that strike me, particularly in the Stormont context. A lot of people across the world, when they go out to vote, they go out as much to vote a party out of government as they do to vote someone else into government, because they're simply fed up with what they've got. And I think you see that across the world. We saw it in the general election in the UK in 2010, when after 13 years of Labour, people, not because they particularly warned David Cameron, because they were fed up with Blair and Brown, determined they were going out to vote against Labour. So that motivated them, that got them out, and because they could change their government. Of course, the most striking thing about the political arrangements, the perverse political arrangements in Northern Ireland, is that you can vote as many times as there is an election to Stormont, but you can never change your government because of the absurd situation which prevails under mandatory coalition, which means that every party, as of right, so long as they hold a handful of MLAs, is entitled to a place in government. Now, that wasn't brought in, ladies and gentlemen, to suit anyone or to make sure that anyone in this hall was represented. That was brought in as part of the buy-off of the IRA that was the Belfast Agreement. But a consequence of every party being, as of right, entitled to be in government means that you cannot change your government. Oh yes, you can tinker with the pecking order in government. You can decide which will be the biggest party, the next biggest party, etc. You can tinker with the pecking order. But you cannot change your government. You cannot vote a party out of government. And that causes many people, I believe, to say, what's the point? If I can't exercise my democratic right, change my government, if I'm in the same pickle as somebody in North Korea who isn't allowed to change their government, why should I bother voting? And I think that permeates the thinking of a lot of people. I think the second, and of course, not only are you not allowed to change your government, you're not even allowed in opposition in Storm. So little wonder, I think, there's a lack of enthusiasm. I think the second reason, particularly in loyalist areas, why people have lost an appetite for voting is that some who they look to for leadership through their never, never, never mantra so disappointed them that they, in despair, have almost given up and think, oh, for them, it was just about power. All politicians are the same. Cursing all your houses, I'm not bothered about. And I think we are reaping what was sown by some in that regard, in the Unionist community, particularly in the loyalist community. I think that caused a great breakdown in trust. You know, people who followed Ian Paisley for 40 years discover that at the end of it all, his fight was about getting into government with Mark McGuinness. And they said, that is what I thought. If I can't trust him, they cannot trust me. So I trust no one. I think that is a sobering reality. Much of the reason why there's been a decline in loyalty areas in people voting. It's a loss of trust, a loss of perspective.
Billy, how would you understand within working class areas the reasons why people have moved away from voting and participating in society?
Well, I think there's a number of issues, and some people have already mentioned them. But from my point of view, I think that if you talk to people in working class communities and you ask them about voting, I think at one, they reckon that there's nobody to vote for because no matter who you vote for, it doesn't change things. I'm not sure people are convinced that politics works, and that's for a whole lot of different reasons. And I also think that the middle classes have decided not to vote because they don't believe that they want to get involved in what they would describe as sectarian politics. I mean, I think that has been the problem. And it just doesn't happen in politics, but it happens in other walks of life, like when we see sort of Irish League soccer and stuff like that. The business community don't want to actually get involved in terms of putting money into football clubs or into sponsorship, and it's for exactly the same reason. So I think that, it's probably the way society is set up and how people perceive it. I also think that in Protestant working class areas there is a lack of politicisation. I don't think unionists are politicised. I don't think that, and there's a number of reasons for that. I don't think that people in the Protestant communities actually believe the union is safe, and I think that Mike heard me say this on Saturday night in Cumber, where I said it's great to know that the union's safe. I believe the union's safe, but the difficulty is, and he touched on it, that it's all right the union being safe, but if I can't practice my culture or my Britishness, then what is the point? So, I mean, I think that there's all of those issues that actually exercise people. I think that people feel that there's no point in voting, and probably, some of what Jim has said makes some sense, but I do believe that, we need to give that a good shake, and I think that we need to actually start to show people that politics does work. And I think that probably goes on to the second and third question, but we'll answer that later.
One of the things is,